This is the Unlock Your Inner Creator series, and I'm your host, Noilyn Mendoza. My intention with this series is to spark conversations with passionate changemakers and creatives that bravely dared to dream of new ways and took massive action. Despite the chaos that's happening around us, a radical and liberated future, a new earth can be realized and is possible if we choose to take brave steps. So I invite you to explore with me what that can look like. Hi everyone, welcome back. It is season 3, episode 3 of the Unlock Your Inner Creator series. It is a new month, March is upon us, and it's the Piscean energy that I'm feeling right now. So this is really a time for us to shift towards empathy, intuition, and spirituality. And I know with all the recent events of the world that we are definitely calling on all of those 3 traits so much in the last few days. And so even though we acknowledge that we're all unique beings, we're still connected and we're interdependent. And the barriers that keep us isolated from each other aren't as solid as they appear to be. I feel like at this time we're truly being asked to understand that we all move and we are all in relation to each other, and we are all collectively creating something new and different. And I hope a lot better. For this season, we focus on the power of the pause, slowing down, restoring ourselves, nurturing ourselves in all the ways, because rest is also a pivotal part of creating. And so my intention for this series is to spark conversations with passionate change makers and creatives that bravely dare to dream of new ways and are taking massive action towards a liberated future, not just for themselves, but for others. And as we open this conversation, I continue to call on the energy of winter, the energy of conservation, of reflection, and going inward. What does it mean for you to slow down, tend to your dreams, and give space for deeper connection with yourself and others? So I invite you to explore with me what that can look like. And I'm super thrilled because I have a very long-time friend and colleague who is joining me today. In her beautiful background, this is a picture that she took. She right now is in London, but she is also spending a lot of time in Italy. And this is my dear friend, Marianne Chung. So Marianne is a nationally recognized certified pranic healer, certified trainer, and mentor. She's also an amazing nonprofit consultant, and she offers inspiring workshops as well as transformational guidance that helps change makers achieve new heights of success, meaning, and happiness. In 2020, she co-founded the Reimagine Collective that is dedicated to creating experiences, campaigns, programs, and communications tools for social change. The collective strives to reimagine how people come together to cultivate themselves, their communities, and the world. Everybody, the amazing Marianne Chung. Welcome, welcome. So we always like to start these conversations, Marianne, by calling people that have been most influential to us. So who do you want to bring into this space?
You know, Noy, when you asked me this earlier, what immediately popped into my head was my ancestors, and particularly my grandmother, my maternal grandmother today. She really was a rock in our family. She came to America when she was in her late teens and settled in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and really was the center of our family and really raised me growing up. So I want to bring in my grandmother today.
Welcome, Grandma. What do you think has been the biggest insight that she gave you growing up?
In my works, I work at Reimagine Collective. It's a nonprofit consulting business that I get the pleasure to work every day with amazing nonprofit organizations who are changing the world, right? One step at a time. And one of the things that we always talk about is the power of storytelling. And how when we tell our stories, we tell our history, we can inspire others and move people with our heads and our hearts. And I think about my grandmother was always a storyteller. I can imagine as a young child sitting on the sofa, laying on the floor, and she's talking about her mom, and she's talking about her dad, and she's talking about her grandmother and the influence that they had. And at that point in time, you know, they were just stories. They were just, you know, experiences that she was talking about. But now that I look back, she was a storyteller, right? And she created lessons and shared her life through the stories she told of her family.
So beautiful. I love how sometimes we don't appreciate these stories, right, that our elders tell us. And I love how you were able to incorporate in the work that you're doing now. So let's shift a little bit because I want to talk about this work. You founded this collect the work that you're doing now really at the height of the pandemic. You had been working for a number of decades doing capacity building work with nonprofits. Talk to me about transitions and taking a leap of faith in some ways to start this collective. What do you think has been the biggest takeaways for you so far?
I think that if I look back on almost 2 years, if not more now, right, of leaving my profession, leaving a nonprofit organization, my whole career, over 20 years, has been working in nonprofit organizations. And the wisdom that I can offer is to dream. To me, it's about dreaming. In the past, I could do the work. I could do the work, but it was not so fulfilling anymore, right? But at the same time, I thought that I can't do it on my own. How am I going to get clients? How am I going to survive? What am I going to do? I love my team. I love the work, but it wasn't as fulfilling. And I had taken a 3-day Dream Builders class. And on the first day, we were learning to dream, and dreaming is about putting yourself in that place 3 years, 5 years ahead, and you've done it and you're celebrating and you're telling people about it, right? And I did it, but it was like my comfort level. I was at my comfort level. And day 2, I was pushing myself. Maybe I could do it. What if I became a consultant? What if I quit my job, right? And really followed the passion and the work that I love, working with the organizations that I so believed in. Day 2 was terrible. It was so terrible because it was uncomfortable. I was pushing myself into this unknown territory, right? And then by day 3, it became more comfortable, right? And by day 3, I was like, I can do this. It's possible, right? And it's this idea of, one of the pranic healing masters, Master Marianne Mendoza, she talks about dream building, and it's about stretching and stretching and stretching and pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone to really envision and see what's really possible out there. And when I started to do that, everything fell in path. I think within 3 months, I had quit my job. I was out of Washington, D.C., and I was on a new path of life that has been just amazing, really fantastic. And it would have never have happened if I didn't dream and take that step out of the comfort zone.
I mean, you're speaking to my heart because I talk all the time with my clients about getting back to that space of dreaming.
Mhm.
What I heard a little bit from you, it seemed like there was a point, at least in your life and your career, where you didn't allow yourself to dream.
Yeah.
Am I hearing that a little
Yeah.
bit?
I'm a daughter and a granddaughter of immigrants,
Yeah.
right? And even though they come to America with the American dream, I still had the feelings of I need stability. I love a paycheck every 2 weeks on my bank account, right? Like the idea of stability was something that was so important to me because growing up, a lot of times we didn't have that financial stability, right? We didn't know where, the next week money was gonna come from. And so that was always something that held me back. Another thing that held me back is my own self-confidence, right? And what my worth is and what I could do. But then I had to have that leap of faith. But then I also knew that I was always supported by a network, right? And people around me. I often talk about in my leadership journey, early on, not anymore, but early on, I didn't think I was a pioneer or a change maker because when I thought about a pioneer, a change maker, I thought about my grandfather who came to America in the late 1930s and went straight to Birmingham, Alabama. I think about my dad who came to America and went to Chattanooga, Tennessee, right? And had, the immigrants had, like $10, $30 in his pocket, right? And created this life for him. And that wasn't me. But I also recognize that when I look back, they had people there, right? Even if it was one or two people from my grandfather's village that was already in Birmingham, Alabama, or it was the church and the people who were already in Tennessee that was helping my dad, right? They had the network. And when I left, I had the network, right? I had my community who was there to support me. And then when I took this step, I realized I came from a family of entrepreneurs, right? Like this is what we do. And we were successful. My grandfather had, a Chinese laundry. My parents had the Chinese restaurants, like my cousins, my uncles, like they have their own businesses. And so sometimes I was chasing after what I thought I want better, but maybe this is better, right? This is what's right for me.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Marianne. You actually are a descendant, you have DNA of wayfinders.
Yeah.
And sometimes we look to outside of what is close to us to try to find solutions that we think of how we need to be in terms of success. And we actually can just look within our own families. And you and I are both pranic healers. And, one of the things that we always love to talk about and also to be able to give as a service and offering to our clients is generational healing. And part of that is also acknowledging not just the healing part, right? Like the challenges that might have been passed down from our DNA, but what are the strengths?
Yeah, the
As you
good.
said, if you just look at just on your paternal line,
Mhm.
these are the pioneers. They made a way. They came and they had very, very little, much less resource than both you and I are, and they were able to do something. They pursued their dreams. The other beautiful thing that I love that you brought up was dreaming within community, this idea around network.
Collective,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
right, collective.
Mhm.
Talk to me a little bit about the importance of dreaming within community, within a collective. Why do you think it's so essential?
I think it's about magnification, right? Like I
Ooh,
come
that
in
is
and
good.
part, and someone else comes in and they have their part, and someone else comes in and they have their part. And my dream is a lot better when there's other people around who are contributing their parts to it as well. And then it becomes our collective dream or our collective vision, right? I am hands down community, people oriented. Like I would much rather do my work collectively than individually. And so that was one of my fears in starting a business is I had to do it alone. I thought I had to do it alone. And I didn't know if I could do it alone, but I didn't have to do it alone. I started with three other people with me when we started, and now we have 9 and increasing to 2 more. So it's like, I didn't have to do it alone, but I had to stretch my mind to say it's possible and it's possible with other people. The blinders that I had on before, I had to just open it up a little bit. I had to move it out so that I could see the opportunities and the possibilities. And I think that that's probably also getting back to the question is like, why dream as a collective is because we can all expand it and we can open it up and then it can become like the sun, right? Ever giving, and expansive.
Yeah. And I love it because you're the first person in the 3 seasons that I have done the series to talk about collective dreaming.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
to actually see that, as I was mentioning, this is the time in March that we see that all of these relations that we have with each other, the interconnectedness, why not the interconnectedness of our dreams if we are creating what we hope is a new and better world,
Mhm.
right? And it can't happen in isolation. So, this season, it's really about talking about winter and the time for hibernation and reflection and all of that. I am so excited for you to be here in particular because I feel like you embody in a lot of ways what it means to nourish and rest right now. You decided at the end of last year you were going to pick up your stuff and you were going to go to Europe, Italy in particular, and you were going to be there and live this, digital nomad life because now you can. But also, I feel like in some ways it was a very restorative move. And I would love to talk a little bit about when did this idea pop in your head? And two, it's kind of you taking that leap, right, to create Reimagine. What was the push? What was the catalyst to allow you to say, I'm going to pick up my bags in the middle of pandemic and head over to another part of the world? So talk to me a little bit about what was going on in your mind.
So for the past since mid-December, so almost 3 months, I've been in Europe, and I've been in Europe with two other friends. And so again, it starts with community, right? It's about people. And so the story is that a friend was moving to Europe, and you know, oh, can I do it alone? Right? There's a little bit of hesitancy, right? And then two other friends are like, we can go with you. We can help you. We can go with you for 6 months and help you set up. And then, we can go back to the US. Just joking, kind of in support, pushing the, other person along. But then in reality, we're like, it's possible. We can do it. It's really possible. The world is still opening up from COVID. Our work is online. Why not try? Right? And it works, right? It works. And you talk about the idea of rest and nourishment. It's like I feel so fed here. And I'm still working. I'm working a lot, right? But I've also learned balance. My rising sign is Libra, right? I'm learning how to balance. And it's really been this place of learning about how to work and have fun at the same time, and really enjoy everything that life has to offer.
So, I have to ask you this because you were able to come to a place around, I need to have fun. It's about nourishment. I wonder though, did you always have that kind of outlook in terms of fun, in terms of resting, or is this something new? I'm just curious.
It's been a journey, and it continues to be a journey. I shared earlier, it's like I grew up in a first second generation immigrant family where we had to work, right? And so, starting in the second grade, I was with my dad every weekend at the flea market, sacking egg rolls and wonton and like serving the customers lemonade and sweet tea. And so the idea of rest and the idea of vacation was really not in my mind. I think the first quote unquote vacation I took was on a school trip that was not with my mom and my dad. They don't allow themselves to take vacation, right? So it's been a process of learning how to balance. My fallback is work. My fallback is hard work, right? And so how to learn to just rest on the weekend has been a journey for me. And I don't know if it was you, Noi, we were talking recently about work-life balance, right? And it was about work-life harmony. And I love that, right? Because it's this idea, is like, it's not about equal hours of rest, equal hours of work, but it's about how can we find harmony in the two, right? And some days I'm gonna have to work more, but some days I'm gonna rest, right? And it's okay, right, to rest. And I think allows me to work better, right? And it allows me to rest better too when I have the two.
Yeah, I want to ask you this because I feel like you've done a lot of work to get to this place to feel okay with allowing yourself to do this trip to Europe, to rest, to do things that rejuvenate you. And when I've had conversations with people who have very similar backgrounds to you and I, particularly the Asian American community, there's a little bit of a sense of guilt when they're resting or they're doing something fun or they're vacationing. Do you have any tips for folks when those feelings arise? What have you told yourself so that you can be fully present in that nourishment state, whatever, if it's taking a nap or if it's going on vacation or, doing something that fills you up. And I like how you said it, you feel so fed.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I in the nonprofit world, a lot of times there's burnout, right? Because there's so much passion and there's so much love for the community and the work. And it's almost like then we kill ourselves though, right? And some will turn to drinking, some will turn to, overwork and whatever it is, like we find these bad habits oftentimes in the nonprofit world. And we leave the field, right? And they move on and they leave jaded and they go somewhere else. And being in this profession for almost 25 years now, it makes me sad because I see the value and I see the talents that they can give to the community in this work. And so I would always tell my staff, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So how can we care for ourselves so that we can stay in it for the long haul? And I think it's kind of like that. I think that I've been able to stay in the nonprofit world at the local level, at the national level, now as a consultant level, because I was able to find a way to rest and recover and to have balance. I think that's what it is. It's finding that harmony. And for me, it was pranic healing. For me, it was meditation. For me, it was self-discovery, soul discovery that allowed me to continue to get fed and refueled so that I can take it back to my community and the work that we do. And at the same time, as I take those skill sets and I bring it into our pranic healing and our organizing work there too.
Yeah. What does harmony mean to you?
Harmony, huh? I think harmony is like it's the yin and the yang. It's the forever flow of the in and the out, the male and the female, the masculine, the feminine. It's harmony is learning to flow. And whatever that means to you, right? It's like in pranic healing, we talk about when there's physical pain, when there's something going on in our life, right? The energy is stuck, right? And in pranic healing, our work is to help the energy flow again so that the body can heal on its own, right? And so harmony to me at this point in time is about flow. And how are we supporting the flow? I want to say at all levels of our life, right? Whether it's physical, it's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual. Are we tending to the flow?
Yeah. Tending to the flow and where are areas of stuckness or where's the obstacle, right? To not allow that flow. And I love how you also, of course, did a little bit of a nod to energy, talking about the yin yang, feminine, masculine, that they're actually happening at the same time, but sometimes it's not an equal, it's not necessarily 50%. And back to your earlier point of maybe at this particular moment you need to focus on work, but not the whole time. At some point you're also going to need to rest. And so it's to be able to define what that means for you as it's happening. You are actually the second speaker, and I just wanted to uplift this to talk about this work around manifesting this dream that you have, these goals you have, from an idea of a marathon and not a sprint. And I think that's important because it's already been mentioned twice this season. And to understand that obviously you can't always go hard because, I mean, if you've ever done a very long distance run, your body just can't cope with that level of intensity. There's going to have to be ways that you regulate it. And, you do many things. There's many tips and there's many strategies. So I just wanted to thank you for reminding me as well of that analogy. Let's talk about, obviously you've made the shift to do this work. It was a big leap. What resources have helped you most along the way? And I want to think about it in terms of creating your own thing, but especially I feel like running your own business when this is very new to you. There's a lot of scary things that can come up, right? Like your self-doubt, fears, things that you actually don't know are going to come to the surface. I'm curious about the resources and what has kept you motivated to just keep going and keep trying when things have gotten hard.
I go back to community, right? So my resources are everyone around me. If I don't know something, I will ask, right? How many times have I asked you, Noi, can you recommend a coaching program? Can you recommend this? Do you know this? For me, the resources is we have to rely on each other. If just as if someone was starting out or someone had a question, I would want them to ask me so that I could offer what I know to help support them. That would be my advice, is just continue to connect and ask. Because I think that whatever we ask for in the universe, if it is aligned with our higher purpose, we will get the answers, right? We may have to work at it, right? Meaning I have to ask, I have to take the first step. But when we call in the energy, it comes. And we have to, first, we have to have that action to call. And then the second is we have to have the faith that it's going to come, right? So I think that's it's my learning too. And I still have to learn it. I still have to learn that piece as well.
Ask. That's a tough one for a lot of folks. That is a
Mhm.
tough one. And I feel like it shows up in different ways. I love how you call them community, but also this idea of it came into your mind. This dream came into your mind for a reason. And I honestly believe that it wouldn't have popped up there if you didn't have the capacity to receive it and to have it. But also to pull yourself back a little bit and understand that it's not only you, that you need to ask for help, and that the resources and all of this will come. And then the other thing you're talking about is to have the faith. One of my coaching teachers had said something that stuck with me for a really long time. It was, have faith longer than you
Mhm.
think you need,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
right? So have faith in this dream
Yeah.
and not to, I don't want to say give up, but not to get discouraged. But I think one of the ways, as you mentioned, to not get discouraged is to share your dream and to ask for help. And then there's this community of people around you that are also working with you to materialize it. Yeah, so beautiful. Whew. So I want to talk about this picture that's in your background, because that is in Assisi, such a beautiful and magical place. And I feel like, the last 2 years, if nothing else, has been a great reset and reawakening for a lot of folks. What has been the most magical experience that you had at that particular place?
This is in Assisi, about maybe 10, 15 kilometers outside the city center. And this is the grottos where St. Francis would come and meditate. And to the, I guess this side is a chapel where the monks still live and they still hold service. And they have the actual place where St. Francis would go into the caves to meditate. And so this place is magical. It's really the energy there is so pure and so clean and so beautiful. And so for me, the memory here is just that these places exist in the world, that this place is still here for any of us to come to and to partake in and to absorb and soak in the energy. And so if I had stayed in Virginia, I would have never been able to experience this, right? And then we went twice because it was so magical, right? And the ones I want to share is, one was where St. Francis meditated. Usually there would be swarm. It's small, right? It's tight. You have to go down these tight little stairs, and then it's like just a railing around this rock. which is where he was. But we were the only ones there. Like, because of COVID, because it's the winter, we were the only ones there. And we got to do a meditation called Meditation on Twin Hearts there. And the foundation of meditation on Twin Hearts is St. Francis's prayer, where there's hatred, let me sow love, where there's injury, pardon, right? Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. And to do that there was beautiful. The second experience, the second time we went, we came in the evening. And in the evening, every night at 5 o'clock, they have something called the Vesper. So I didn't grow up Catholic. I'm just learning all about this, right? But every evening at 5 o'clock in this chapel right here, the monks, and there were some nuns as well, and they open it to public, they sing. And they reflect upon the day, and they show gratitude for the day. And it was so beautiful because it's in song, and it's in singing. And I said, wow, like at the end of my life, I want to listen to this, like that. This is what I would want to listen to, right? As I transition, it was so beautiful, right? And the idea of reflecting each day on your day, right, is something that we do. And at the end of the life, isn't that what we want to do too? Is to reflect upon our life and how we showed up in this world. And so I think those are my two beautiful experiences, in addition to these amazing sunrises and sunsets in Assisi.
I don't even know what to ask you next because that line literally that you just said, every day is our day to reflect on our life. And in some ways, what did we contribute in this life? That's your purpose, right? And that's why we dream.
That's why we dream.
Oh, Marianne, I don't know what to ask you next because it was so profound. And as you were saying it too, I'm just looking, you literally look like you're actually there. This background is just so magnificent, and you just feel this lightness and this energy. Oh my goodness, thank you for sharing that. Well, I am curious. I have come up with a question now. Talking about curiosity, is there anything that you're curious about right now? Something you want to explore?
More ways to have fun. More ways to have fun, right? That's what I'm learning now. And it only makes me more well-rounded. I know how to work. I know how to work, right? Like, that's my go-to. But I need to have fun, and I need to learn how to have more fun, right? And so, one is travel, right? When we spent a month in Florence, and I was just struck by the art. It's the home of the Renaissance, where there's the sculptures, the paintings. And so that's what I'm curious about. Today, I'm in London, and I went to the National Gallery, right? And amazing. Like, it has everything, right, that you could think about. The art is there. But what really struck me is Monet's lily. I think it's called water lilies, right? I've seen it in the textbooks, I've seen it in the pictures, but to come into the room and to see the magnitude of how big Monet's watercolor was of water lilies, it was breathtaking and so beautiful and so peaceful, so serene. But how did he do that? That's what I'm curious about. It's like, what is the art, or what is the play? What is the song? What is the dance? Like, what more can I push my comfort zone and my limits to become another version of Marianne?
I know how to work. I'm learning how to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And then also when you were describing, when you were looking at that Monet piece, it's a very visceral reaction of looking at something that somebody created. And to me, that's also a place of inspiration. And in many ways, you feel rejuvenated.
Mm, yeah.
when you see a piece that just moves you, whether it's a piece of music or a piece of art or a movie or a physical space, right? Your energy is just shifted immediately to lightness and levity. And I feel like that is also part of rest.
It is. It is. And I don't know how many of you all are like me, but I'm learning how to do that now. I
As an
don't,
adult,
yeah, I was
yes.
living,
Yeah.
I was breathing, I was eating, but to really enjoy life, I've only learned it recently. To
Mm.
enjoy the food of Italy, right? It's like to enjoy the taste. I'm someone who eats to live versus lives to eat, right? But really, I'm learning how to taste the beauty of life.
Mm. And slowing down, enjoying the bites.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, Marianne, how can our listeners connect with you? I think on two levels, right? The work that you do through Reimagine, but you're also a pranic healer. So, how can folks connect with you?
In a number of ways. So my website is mariannechung.com. You can go there, or reimaginecollective.co. Find me on Facebook. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to connect and learn from each other.
Beautiful. Always back to community. So, my very last question, we're going to go back to the title of this
Okay.
series, which is Unlock Your Inner Creator. Marianne, what does being a creator mean to you?
What does being a creator mean to me? I think creator means dreaming. We go back to the beginning, right? A creator dreams. The creator dreams the impossible and makes it happen.
Creator dreams impossible and makes it happen. So we're going to close out. This is my thing that I love to do. I have a new deck of cards. It's called the Soul Coaching Oracle cards. And so I'm just going to shuffle this and you just tell me when to stop and that'll be our closing thought.
Now,
Stop.
yeah, stop.
Okay. Stop. Oh, how appropriate.
What?
Healing. You are a healer.
Yay!
You're a healer on many levels. So the affirmation is phenomenal healing energy flows through every cell in my body.
Oh my,
Phenomenal healing energy flows through every cell in my body.
so it is.
And so it is, and it is a
Healing
beautiful violet,
with dark hair,
dark
right?
hair, with dark hair.
Long dark
It
hair.
found you.
My family.
Well,
It
thank
is.
you to your grandma. I'm sure that she helped find this card as well, your ancestors. Oh, Marianne, I always feel enriched, and you have this very beautiful way of piecing things together. And I always like to say, I love your metaphors and the way that you paint stories. You are truly a storyteller. So I'm so thrilled to be able to feature you and just to talk about all the ways that you are rejuvenating yourself and how you're relearning. I feel like in some ways who Marianne is. And that's something that we can also see as an example of how do we come back home to who we truly are. So thank you so much, Marianne. And for everybody else, I hope this has been a very fulfilling and full, as Marianne was saying, conversation. I hope that you tune in. We will have many more creators in the coming weeks. Until then, take good care and find as many ways as you can to rejuvenate, to rest, and to create. Talk to you soon. For listening, if you enjoyed this conversation and you'd like to help support this interview series, make sure to tune in to the next episode and share it with others. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at The Radiant You, you as in the letter U, and sign up for my newsletter by visiting www.theradiantu.com. Again, that's theradiantletteru.com. Thanks, everyone, and remember, dream big, dream bold, and take brave steps. I'll see you next time.